agency, but our particular focus is in an area of shopper marketing, and even more specific than that, new moms. So we have some research that we want to share with you today. We actually presented last year at the conference. We're going to build on that research this year and kind of show you some differences between what we learned then and what we learn now. So just quickly, for those of you who aren't familiar with Eric Moore & Associates, we are a privately owned agency. We are about 250 employees, and we have 7 offices basically east of the Mississippi is our territory. So we do everything from consumer advertising to business marketing, and with a particular focus, my group, in shopper marketing. We are the only agency that's ranked in all 4 disciplines, from advertising to public relations to sales promotion to B2B. And this is just a quick snapshot of some of the brands that we work with. We have a lot of expertise around the retail environment, account-specific programs, channel marketing, and clients like Fisher-Price, and Mike, thank you for joining us this morning with Fisher-Price, have given us a real view into marketing to moms, and in particular new moms, and what's changing for them as they sort of start this journey into motherhood. So in particular, one of the things we do is work with brands to help them develop and sell in programs to retailers. So, you know, when Fisher-Price needs to go to Walmart or Target or Babies R Us, help them solve a particular category issue or brand problem, we sort of help them do that. So I mentioned last year we did a study in 2011 around new moms, and we really wanted to understand as a shopper how they change and how they're different from experienced moms. So for our purposes, we thought about new moms as anybody who's a new mom for the first time, anybody with a child under the age of 2. Experienced moms, their child's over the age of 2, or they have more than 1 child. So this year we went back to the market, and we actually wanted to take a little closer look at those first 9 months when a woman learns she's going to have a child, and what's different for her as an expectant mom, even from when the time that she has her baby. And we found some really interesting sort of things that we wanted to share with you. So our agenda today is really what we know about new moms, how they're different, how they think, feel, and shop, expectant versus new moms as shoppers, and in that activity of shopping, what changes for them. And then we want to kind of share with you some thinking around this 9 months to connect, this time in her life when, as a brand, as a retailer, you've really got this period of time to connect with her. So that's kind of what we're going to cover quickly today. So I'm going to ask Jess to sort of fill in on just general perspective, kind of what's happening in the world. Think Gen Y, what is she kind of facing as she develops, you know, this change in her life when she's going to now become a mom.
Absolutely. So we wanted to take a step back and just ground everyone to talk about what is the world that these new moms are living in. So we know it's a little different than our past generations. Millions of people are still unemployed, unfortunately, looking for jobs. I know it's affected people I know. I'm sure it's affected the people that you know as well, and moms are no different. Consumers are still cautious with their spending. The economy, we're seeing pickups here and there, but we've seen from research like the Futures Company that people are still wary of the economy and where it's going. So moms have become more cautious with their spending, and they've become more innovative, and they really take pride in their own value-seeking missions. In addition, we've talked about this at the conference today too, health information, there's an overload, and moms are just surrounded by it because of the internet and social media. All of those concerns are amplified. In the past couple of months, every day I see something about the peanut butter product recall and more products being added to that list. So with moms learning and sharing on social media, again, they're surrounded by these concerns in a way that they haven't been in the past. Gen Y moms are definitely something to note. We've talked about them a lot at this conference. We've also talked about not just focusing on them, but I think when we're talking about new moms, they are becoming more and more of our focus. So they've sort of redefined their role as moms. They're not living up to this perfect housewife image anymore. They're creating happiness on their own terms and really, like I said, redefining their role. A husband is no longer a crucial piece of that puzzle. Sorry guys, there's a couple of you in the room. But 40% of all births today are to unmarried moms, which is really dramatic, and I think we might see that number start to rise a little bit more in the next couple of years. Multi-generational households, the modern family, which they did a great workshop on the other day. It's something that the modern family is what you make it. So that could be 2 moms, it could be adopting, it could be blended families, or it could be all of those things under one roof. So that's just something that Gen Y has grown up with and we're getting more and more used to seeing. Buying green for Gen Y is no longer a nice to have expensive luxury. It's part of our lives. We're demanding affordable, everyday solutions, and a lot of brands are answering that call. And of course, our favorite term, digital natives. We're surrounded by digital, it's part of our lives, but we're also aware that it can take over. So Gen Ys are sort of starting to learn that and learning to set aside time to disconnect.
Exactly.
Shopping reality. The shopping reality has changed. Value retailers are on the rise. I know with a lot of my friends now, going to the dollar store, going to Aldi, kind of tallying up your savings is the new, it's the new cool thing to do. Saving is becoming a sport, and especially for moms, because they're not only doing it for themselves and for their own wallet, they're doing it for the sake of their families. So coming home and being able to put that receipt on the fridge, even if no one else might notice it, but as a mom, you're looking at it and saying, I did a great job today. I saved $11.30, which all of that adds up. She's also armed with her smartphone, so she's using these tools to help her get good deals and savings for her family. And I think we've noticed last year in the holiday season, eMarketer reported that nearly 2/3 of people research products online before buying the product in store. So we're seeing some things this year. We're already seeing layaway price match programs come out because these retailers are having to work a little bit harder to keep those moms in their stores and on their sites as opposed to the lower price competitor.
And just that trend of showrooming, got a lot of buzz last year, and we do a holiday trends overview for a couple of our clients, and we're watching that closely this year. We're seeing brands like Best Buy and Target try to get in front of that with specific initiatives and launching early. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. So just with that as sort of general background into what a Gen Y mom is facing and what her reality is, we wanted to just touch base on something we shared last year, which was research into how she thinks, feels, and shops as she becomes a mom. In terms of how she thinks, what she's thinking about, we know that she has new concerns, right? She's going to have a baby. That opens just the door to all kinds of things that she needs to now think about. She's also going to have less time to think about that. Once she has that child, her reality is going to shift dramatically, so she has less time but new concerns. What we found is that that really means she's actually more open. She's more open to the idea of planning, to research. She's looking to brands for information. She's really hungry for that. She's just more open to marketing in general in a way that she's never been before, and she probably never will be again, because she is going to assess her sort of favorite brand. She's going to build an inner circle for her family of brands, and this is a really key time where you can make an impression on her because she's starting to research categories that she doesn't even know she needs yet, and she has a new way to think about those categories. In terms of how she feels, we sort of boil this down to this notion that practical is emotional for her. So she needs your product to perform. She needs you to help her solve a problem or achieve something, a satisfying experience in what she's charged with as a mom. If as a brand you do that, that's where she gets her confidence from. That's where she becomes self-confident. She feels like she's getting this, she's in control, she's got it. That delivers the emotional bond that we're looking for as a brand. So to us, this idea of solve her practical problem, be a great solution for her on a practical standpoint, and you will get that emotional bond with her. And then lastly, when it came to shopping, it's really variety and value. It's not only or not necessarily even low price. And we had a lot of verbatims out of the research that said, I bought at first on price. I tried, a lower price diaper. I had issues with it and it wasn't worth the cost savings. So I traded back up to a higher price, but it delivers more value to me. So really variety and value were sort of the key triggers for her. So this really is just kind of how we summed it up, that new moms are looking for better choices. So not only better products, but better experiences, better services from brands. That's really what they're hungry for. So switching gears and moving forward, we went into 2012 with research specific to expectant moms, and we wanted to understand their shopping behavior. Interesting, to kind of sum it up, an expectant mom begins to change the way she thinks about life. But she truly believes that things are not going to change for her that much. That's the reaction I was thinking I was going to get from those of you who know differently. But it was really interesting to see that come out in research. So she is starting to change how she thinks, feels, and shops. Her mindset is beginning to shift. She has new needs. She's driven for new learning, new education, looking for information. At this point, though, she also thinks that she's going to use the brands that she grew up with in her family. So she thinks, Johnson & Johnson may be the right line of products for her, because she hasn't yet looked closely at what those other newer brands might be for this category. So she doesn't know Aveeno necessarily. She doesn't know, Burt's Bees for babies. So she is sort of predisposed to those heritage brands that she grew up with, and we'll come back and talk about that. How she feels. Well, as an expectant mom, she's pretty confident she's going to maintain her lifestyle. She doesn't see that changing a lot. She also looks at the child, of course, as a joyful addition to her life. What she hasn't quite become aware of are some of the subtractions. Less time, less money, more to juggle. So she's not quite to that point yet. And in fact, she believes that she will master motherhood as an expectant mom. By the time she has that first child, she's going to master it. In terms of how she shops, okay, as an expectant mom, this was really interesting. She's actually expecting to spend more, and I want to read you the categories. Once she becomes a new mom, she expects to spend more in fine dining, entertainment, electronics, furniture and home decor, magazine subscriptions, and beauty and cosmetics as a result of motherhood. And that's just really interesting because, of course, new moms report that they are likely to spend less in those same categories. So you can see the differences in mindset starting to shift, but not really all the way there yet. She's definitely an on-the-go shopper. She's visiting all of her favorite stores, and now she's even adding more stores because she's got new needs. So she's really on the go. She's less likely to wait for a sale than a new mom tells us they are. She sees what she wants, she's going to get it. And really, quality is driving her shopping. It's not really necessarily about price or even value at this point. So we sort of boiled this down and kind of came to this interesting insight that being expectant is when her mindset starts to change, but it's the arrival of the baby that really impacts her shopping behavior, changes the kind of shopper she becomes. So there's this disconnect between what she thinks she's going to do and what she actually does when the baby arrives. We called it the glow versus the reality. As an expectant mom, she's really hypervigilant, like really focused on things to look at, research, information, the experience she's having. As a new mom, new moms are hypervigilant, but they just have less time to be able to really delve into that. An expectant mom, in terms of the shopping behavior, is concerned with cleanliness. She wants a nice clean store, she wants presentation, she wants an experience. A new mom is just concerned with convenience. She needs to get in and out, she needs to get her list accomplished, get all of her things taken care of. A new mom, or an expectant mom, will say that I still love to shop at all of my favorite specialty stores. A new mom is likely to say, I don't even know what stores are in the mall anymore. I just don't have time to go do that. And an expectant mom, as we said, is an on-the-go shopper. A new mom, one-stop shopper. Superstores, convenience stores, that's the ticket for her. And interestingly, expectant moms say, I'm going to master motherhood after my first child. A new mom, there's just no such thing. You never master it. There's always a new challenge. There's always something new happening. So that was just a really interesting contrast in kind of mindset for expectant and new. So the reality is just everything changes. Everything changes for her. And we really wanted to bring this to life to you. So I want to introduce you to Sarah. Sarah works for EMA. She is a typical Gen Yer. She has been a terrific career professional for 5 years. She's super organized, super great at her job, high performer, now has her first child. Her child is 9 weeks old, and she's still out on maternity leave, and we sort of tapped into her and asked her to do us a favor. So I wanted you to take just a few minutes and hear from Sarah.
My name is Sarah Root. I have a daughter, Lucy Root. She just turned 9 weeks as of Tuesday. Years ago, I didn't even want a child because I didn't think that I could be so unselfish because I really liked my lifestyle, being able to do what I wanted to do. Before I had Lucy, I was very busy, both my husband and I. I work full-time at a marketing agency, so the hours can be a little bit more than typical 9 to 5, but I love my job. For grocery shopping in specific, I was and still am a list person. I mean, I have to have my list ahead of time for my weekly shopping. If there's like a couple things I have to get, then I'll run it. But a lot of times if I'm clothes shopping, like actually going to a store, going to the mall, it's kind of a stop-in sort of thing if I have time. Before I was even pregnant, I thought that when we had a baby, everything would be organic, from the clothes to the bed sheets to the food to everything. And then once I actually got into buying those products when I was pregnant, I realized there's an extravagant cost, and there's also the fact that you can't get literally everything organic. So there were definitely some things where I changed that up a bit. Going into this, I thought that my husband was going to be home for the first week, my mom would come for the next 2 weeks to help out, and then after that I'd want to be completely on my own doing this, independent. And within the first couple days of being home with her, even with my husband still home, I had a very harsh reality of that I can't do this alone. For the first several weeks, my husband and I would go grocery shopping together just because it was easier, and I have a Moby wrap that I would stick her in, and she would just sleep the whole time. But there was one time where I can tell when we're pushing it, when we're getting close to her feeding time, and she woke up in the middle of the store and let out just one scream and then went back to sleep. But I was like, hey, I'm going to be in the car. One other thing I would say about my different shopping experiences that I've noticed now is that I'm much more cynical and impatient with other people. It really frustrates me now when people just blindly cut you off or just blindly don't even notice you. And I feel kind of badly because probably when I was not pregnant or thinking about children, I probably didn't even notice these women that are with 4 kids trailing behind them and trying to make this thing work. When I know that we're running out of time, literally in my head, I hear myself say, okay, you're pushing it now. And so I get what I have to get and I get out. Life now with Lucy, it's kind of what I expected, but not at the same time. I mean, she was very active in the womb, so we would always joke that she was going to be a little monster, and she's a sensitive baby. As hard as some moments are when she's fussy or I can't figure out what she needs, there's moments where she just looks at you and she smiles, or she snuggles up next to you, and it makes you want to cry because it makes you so happy. And here's little Lucy Lydia Root, my little red-headed daughter.
So Sarah comes back to work in a couple weeks. I actually give her a lot of credit for no longer referring to her baby as a little monster, and instead she's a sensitive baby. So, this is really indicative, I think, as a Gen Y mom. Sarah's having her challenges. You heard her say, by the end of week 3, I was going to have this, I was going to be totally independent, have it down, and that's just not the reality. So I just thought that was a really interesting little story to share with you. We wanted to kind of go forward now and think about your business as brands, as potentially retailers, and think in terms of what are, you have these 9 months to connect with her as a new mom, as an expectant mom. What can we do to really take advantage of that period of time? So we just did kind of a little reverse countdown here, if you will. And a lot of this is common sense, but I think it's good to sort of take a step back and think about it and what your opportunities are as a brand. The first one is just get her, just understand, her personality, her point in time as a Gen Y. As a Gen Y person, this is a woman who's been optimistic, self-confident, she's digitally savvy, she's very progressive in her thinking, she's very confident, she's used to sort of having it and winning. She's diverse, she's globally aware, and again, she feels like she's got this. She's going to figure it out, she's going to do her research. We think the opportunity for brands is to be there and give her support when she sort of realizes, you know what, I don't have this and I do need help, and where am I going to find that? So I think that could be a key opportunity for brands. Next is simply this notion of knowing where you stand and what you stand for as a brand. Is your category on her mind? So in this instance, we're not talking about simply baby products or the things that she's starting to buy, but really where do you stand with her? Are you a category that she's looking at? Should you be? And how do you tell her that? Are you a heritage brand? Are you a brand she's likely never heard of? And how are you going to leverage those two relationships with her? And then, are you a registry must-have? So certainly for baby products, that's a little bit easier. But we wanted to share an example, for instance, of a washer-dryer. Think about that when you're going to be a new mom. You realize this is a category you're familiar with. Perhaps you bought your first set, 5 years ago when you moved into an apartment. Now you have a home. Now you're going to have a baby. Different sets of considerations. Now you're worried about, sanitizing it. Is the washer going to do a good enough job for the baby's clothes? Is the laundry room downstairs in the basement and you have to run up and down stairs 10 times a day? Those things that you just never, it's a different set of considerations. So this is just a quick example from Kenmore, who's just doing a nice job at connecting to a new mom, the young child. It's very relatable, it's very real. And it just is helping her sort of figure out, how do you choose? How do you choose the right products? What should you care about within this category? So at least, they're making the right connection at the right time.
Yeah, I love that example because it just really uses the most simple terminology, help me choose. That's what I need help with. I just want to figure out what is the right appliance for me so that I can make more time to spend with my family. So 7 on our countdown is understand her path to purchase. In our research, we found that expectant and new moms have very different paths to purchase. Like we said, the expectant mom is still the on-the-go shopper. She's in the mindset of becoming a new mom, but she's not quite there yet. She's still used to her lifestyle as it is. So one of the things that we often have to do for brands actually is we have to take that a step further. So we're understanding, how does she shop your specific category and how is an expectant mom different than a new mom? But then we also have to layer on top of that, how does she shop Target or how does she shop Safeway? And then there's another layer, how does she shop Target.com? How does she shop Amazon? They can be very different. So a lot of the times we have to really dive into that exploration for specific brands and come together in order to either launch a new product with a retailer or launch a program and make sure that both groups are aligned and we're reaching the target. Where are you when she's forming opinions? So again, both moms are researching, but we found that expectant moms are still doing a little bit more of their research online. New moms are a little bit more actionable. So when they're couponing, they're looking at those Sunday circulars. We saw a much higher spike for new moms to find coupons in the Sunday circular because now this is their lifestyle. They're in it. They're looking for those savings. And again, just realizing that the expectant mom is still much more of an impulsive shopper and the new mom has now become very planned and efficient in her shopping. So next is match your messaging to her mindset. So once you can understand how she shops a little bit better, we want you to really think about your message and is there an opportunity to reach an expectant mom and a new mom? One way we tried to look at it is new moms as users, expectant moms as non-users. So expectant moms are making a list, they're getting excited, they're receiving gifts, they're building their registry. They're getting all of these new products, but they actually haven't tried most of the products, unless maybe they're an aunt or they had a great babysitting past career. Whereas new moms, they're in the thick of it. They're trying the products. So like Sandy said with the diaper, you're either happy with that diaper or you are right back to that drawing board. You're an unhappy mommy. You're calling your friends. You're going online trying to figure out what is a better solution for me. So we also talk about rational benefits equaling emotional rewards for mom. How can you talk about your rational benefits in a way that make an emotional connection? Another thing we found, I'm kind of skipping around a little, but non-users, so expectant moms, tend to resonate more with messages of other moms endorsing the product because, like I said, they haven't tried the product yet. So if you can find out that other moms are endorsing this product, it makes me feel more secure in my decision to go with it. A couple of examples. Loves right now is actually talking to experienced moms, which in turn is a great way to attract new moms because they're making them secure in their choice, saying, all of these people are giving Loves the stamp of approval, so maybe that's something I should look into. Next up is Aveeno. Aveeno is one of my personal favorites. We talked about it a little bit earlier. They just make it simple. They use words like nurture and ease, and even down below, you could just say natural oatmeal lotion, but they're telling you it soothes and protects the baby's skin. So how is it helping me as a mom? Again, they're using the rational benefits to make an emotional connection. And I think, as we mentioned earlier, as we all know today, emotion is big with women and moms. I know before this I had to pinch myself because I was like, do not cry during this commercial because you have to present soon. So we connect with it. And if you can connect with it through your messaging, that's a great way to start. Excuse me. Next up, get to her first. That's what we all want to do. We want to reach her before our competitors do. So how can you do that if you're saying, well, my product's not for new moms. It's definitely not for expectant moms. She doesn't use it till later on, maybe when she's meal planning. A couple of suggestions, because as we said, she's more open to brands and products in this stage of her life, so it's a great way to reach her, and you might find that your product can actually reach her at an earlier point in time. Some things to consider: is there a partnership, or is there a cause marketing opportunity that their values match yours and that will reach those earlier moms? Gen Ys are close to their causes. There's so many of them out there, so it just could be something to explore to get your brand on her mind a little bit earlier in the game. Hunts right now is actually on babiesareus.com, which you might not think. Hunts is not necessarily something I think of when I think of new moms or babies or planning. It's certainly not on any registries I've seen. But they're on babiesareus.com. They're talking to new and expectant moms, and they're using a message that will relate to all moms by touting that they don't use harsh chemicals in their products. Another long-time program that's near and dear to a lot of women and moms' hearts is Yoplay's Save Lids to Save Lives program. So this started out just as pink tops on yogurt, and they've recently expanded across multiple products, from frozen vegetables to juices to cereals. So it makes it really easy for moms and women to buy these products for their family. They're just everyday things that you need in the kitchen, and you can also feel like you're giving to a cause that you support and that has probably touched your life in one way or another. 4, so now you feel like you've gotten her with the message. How can you join her on that journey and stay with her? First of all, now with this digital world we live in, consistent experiences are so important. So make sure your brand and your shopping experiences are consistent across mobile, tablet, online, and in store. Always be responsive. So whether it's through your social media or your website, that is just, we can't stress it enough. I know you guys are like, we've heard this a million times, we know. But a mom does not want to be frustrated when she's trying to find an answer. And if your brand is at the root of that frustration, that's not very good. We don't want that. Design. So we do recommend customizing technology and design to fit those different channels. But again, don't go so far that a mom can't even tell she's on your website or your shopping platform from one channel to the next. I know at first we had a lot of mobile websites coming out, and sometimes I would go on them myself and realize this looks so different. I'm online on my laptop, I'm trying to find a specific category or field. I go on my mobile phone, I can't find it. That's frustrating to me, and it makes me, it turns me off as a shopper, so my online cart is abandoned. So make it seamless, that's the point there.
Mm-hmm. So at the top of our list, deliver on performance. We mentioned this earlier. Performance is a must. It's just not an option for new moms. Your product has to perform, and that is what's going to drive that bond that she's going to have with your brand over time. Durability and quality trump brand. So mom is totally open to private label, to challenger brands. It's about performance first. That's how you're going to get to her as a brand. Perform, and she'll grow to love you. And innovation. Innovation is not an option. I think every brand knows that. You've really got to innovate your product constantly to match her mindset to better serve her needs. So innovation. And in fact, we wanted to share this quickly. Our research showed that top drivers in brand confidence among new moms, product durability, and great first trial or experience. Both of those things way beyond or before notification of coupons, promotions, price action. So definitely about performance. However, that said, we do recognize that price and promotion are in fact very important. So you can't also sort of not pay attention to that. Price matters to her. It's not necessarily about low price, but it's about the value equation. So we mentioned the diapers example, and that's just such a good one because the product needs to perform. She's not just going to make that decision based on price. And if a lower price product doesn't perform, she's quickly going to look for a better value equation. So she will pay more money for something that works better for her. So it's an important thing to remember and think about. Coupons are in fact king, and Jess mentioned that yes, when a new mom is sort of in this mode now and responsible for a growing family, she's much more likely to access coupons. She's looking at FSIs and some of those traditional means, downloadable coupons, et cetera. So coupons have actually been on the rise for a couple of years, and we see that continuing. Building loyalty through promotion. We do think that promotion and platforms that you build for your brand can work wonders in delivering brand loyalty, and also moving her along your product spectrum and your brand spectrum as she grows her family and her child grows. And then always surprise and delight. We like to think about that in terms of just what can you bring to her that really enhances the experience she's having with your brand. Quick, again, infographic on sales and promotions, coupon. They impact not only what a mom buys, but also where she shops. So 78% saying coupons impact where I will shop for products. So important to note that. Okay, at the top of the list is just this notion of making a friend for life. Starting at this moment with mom to build that affinity, build that emotion with her, and then offer her relevant platforms, continuous conversation, again, as her child grows, as her family changes, as she grows as a mom, create those natural extensions. We mentioned customized experience, but also make it very easy for her to engage and also to share. And I think a good example to illustrate that, we pulled this site from Lysol, which is kind of interesting. You don't necessarily think of it as a baby product, yet they have started a conversation with new moms. They've offered tools. There's a downloadable guide for things that you need to know as a new mom. And then they continue on their platform with mom as she grows her family, talking about the health of a family, partnering with others, talking about education. Even things like disaster relief, they've kind of woven into their overall message for how they can continue to have this relationship and dialogue with mom. But they're recognizing that the power really starts with new moms who just have a different mindset and different needs now. So we thought that was kind of a nice example. So that's kind of it. That's what we really wanted to share with you today, is just this quick glimpse at how she changes. It's really understanding how both expectant and new moms think, feel, and shop. We like to kind of think of it that way. And as an opportunity for brands, how do you understand that? How do you kind of connect with her during this time when she's so open to things that, you know, marketing messages and things that she just never will be again. And she's redefining herself and her family. So we wanted to kind of offer that to you and hope that that was helpful. So we're happy to entertain any questions. Thank you. Thanks, Jess. And I think we're good on time, so, but I know we're standing in between us and lunch, so.
Especially with the millennial generation moms, I would imagine that the move to coupons has moved a little bit on because of smartphones,
Yes.
mobile phones, but you were talking about circulars being a new behavior
Yeah.
to adapt immediately.
Yeah.
So, do you have any insights on that?
Surprisingly, when we've done recent promotions using both tactics, we have seen differences in redemption rates. And it is interesting that I do not think that print coupons have necessarily fallen off as much as sort of general opinion might be. We've had some good results from FSI. I would say that downloadable coupons are still in the lead in terms of the strongest performer, but we've seen some decent results still with FSI and also in store, which is not surprising. If you can put the coupon in the shopper's hands as they're walking in, of course, they're more likely to redeem. So in store was probably in recent promotions the #1 tactic, #2 online, and 3 is print, but print is still pretty strong, I think. Yeah, no, mobile, it's on the rise, but I think we're seeing from being close to retail and the actual realities of execution, it's just not there yet. It's coming, but it's not there yet. It's not a factor really in moving the kind of business that we need to move for brands.
Yeah. And just to add on to that too, our research, while we talked about Gen Ys in the beginning, our research was not solely on Gen Ys, so it was a little bit of mix, and we mirrored the US demographics for those studies. So I just wanted to point that out. It wasn't all Gen Y moms that we
that's
surveyed.
True. That's true. We didn't actually go by age in terms of criteria, but by child. So the fact that they were having, they had a first child under the age of 2 and only 1 child. Yeah, so we definitely did mirror. We had Gen Xer moms in there, a small amount of boomers, but really the reality of Gen X. But Gen Y was the biggest portion of that market. But we didn't look at it so much as generationally driven as opposed to what's happening within their life as they're experiencing this event of having a baby. Yeah, yeah. There probably are. I don't have that, but yes, we have the segmentation by, I think we do. We used sort of that 2 years old as our break in what we really felt like by the time the child is 2, she's much more settled into routine and family and sort of has her brands picked. But yeah, I don't know if we have it for
we also,
that difference.
We actually tried to explore the different trimesters of the expectant moms, but we really didn't find any striking differences. And it was sort of, it wasn't the largest sample size, so we didn't want to dissect too much.
Yeah, yeah. You're welcome.
I've actually been a little surprised in the past 2 days about how much of the conversation has been about in-store experience with moms. And maybe from my experience of personal scale as well as my business experience and who I interact with, I mean, literally I had a child and Amazon Prime came right away.
Yeah.
I don't shop with my children, ever.
Yeah.
I hate it. It's horrible. I buy groceries online.
Yeah.
I buy my toilet paper from Amazon. I don't
Yeah.
go to Costco anymore because the experience was so difficult. So I'm looking for tactics for some of my clients to really, what we were just talking about,
Yeah.
how to really tap more into that. I think
Yeah.
a lot of these new moms really don't want to be out, take 2/3 of them out with their kids in the grocery store.
Yeah,
And then it
absolutely.
feels like it's 2/3 of women that are torturing themselves
Yeah.
on a regular basis.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, this is a little comment to the question, but really more
Yeah.
like how can we tap into more of that mobile couponing, getting your brand out in the forefront, being the featured brand,
Yeah.
Whether it's Amazon or Target or wherever
Yeah.
it might be.
Yep.
But also, I work with a lot of small businesses, so then it's difficult for them to even find a place.
Absolutely.
In this market unless they're driven specifically to their small
Yeah.
website.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that's a great point. That's definitely sort of the future. And I think what a brand needs to be concerned with is being able to integrate and play across all of those fronts. So I think retail, it's still the reality that that is driving the volume of business. Now, 5 years from now, that could look different, but right now it still is the supercenters, the mass retailers still are driving the volume of business from mom. But you've got to also integrate because you see programs like Site to Store, which are becoming more and more popular solutions, and it's exactly that. It's more convenient for mom. It's a better experience. So I think you're absolutely right that that's going to grow. I think the reality is we still have that traditional shopping mode as driving the volume of business now. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But you wouldn't want to go there now. Yeah. There you go.
I think there's still
exactly right.
also that trust factor with buying online. So if she knows the product works and is durable, she's much more comfortable buying it online and it's easier for her lifestyle. Another thing we've done with brands to help them get over that barrier is sampling is always good if you can do it because it gives them the risk-free trial of the product and then she can go and integrate it into her life and buy it online if it's easier for her.
Yeah, yeah. Did you have a question?
We talked a little about the changes that new moms kind of create for themselves and build new moms and nutrition.
Yes.
So I was wondering if in your work in retail space, programs that leverage pharmacists for helping websites for moms.
Yeah, yeah. That's interesting. I think it's, we've looked at it actually and talked about it a couple of times as we've looked to do promotion in store and what were some cross-category opportunities. I think that it's a little challenging because it's tougher to get into that area of the store unless you're somehow affiliated with a brand that does business there already. It's interesting because I saw an example not long ago. What was the example of Claritin? Claritin had done...
With the movie?
Makes me think of that. They had done, their children's formula, had done a cross-promotion with some children's license, and it escapes me now.
It was one of the movies that came out, Madagascar.
Madagascar. Claritin in Madagascar. And it was an interesting example and a great sort of cross-category example for how you can introduce, toy products and entertainment products in a different department. What was interesting is there was a lot of controversy and sort of buzz in the trades about whether that was a good idea, because was it starting to represent a medicinal product as something that was fun for kids, and were children gonna think like, this is fun to take, this is candy, that kind of thinking. Yes. Yeah, so it was an interesting debate in what you might initially think, yeah, this makes tons of sense, and look how these things go together, and we can appeal to moms in the pharmacy. I'll be interested to see if they do it or if that grows, because I think it's a little controversial. You think you really have to align your brands and kind of know, is this going to have any backlash? Yeah. But it's an interesting department to penetrate, and I think with the way that the health insurance industry is going, and more of that actual providing healthcare services in pharmacies, that I think it's going to be a rich area in the future. Yeah. Well, thanks so much, everyone. Enjoy your lunch and the rest of the conference.